Antichrist? So this has been a recurring thing, this idea that Donald Trump is somehow a perfect example of God's will working its way through the political system. And, that there's a ton of evangelicals and religious types that believe that that he's been chosen by God to be our president. And the problem with that is that if it lines up with, with the end times or the final, or the rapture or any of that kind of stuff, that literally means that Trump would be the Antichrist in this circumstance, that he's the flim-flam man who will eventually go down there, insist that the temple be rebuilt, and insist that he is God while he's inside it. And this was, by the way, this was stuff that they had no problem saying Obama was. There was a lot, a lot of folks were saying that Obama's the Antichrist, and that's what he's going to do, and he's going to use martial law and FEMA camps to not have an election and keep himself in office perpetually, and then he's going to go against Israel, rebuild the temple, and declare himself God within it, and that's the Antichrist, and that will herald, because everything's got to be part of the plan. That's the idea of, I guess, Carlin's idea that, doesn't prayer mess with the plan? It doesn't, by the way. But the idea that doesn't prayer mess with the plan, because God's got a great plan, and then you come in here and ask for something, and it throws a monkey wrench in his plan. But, this is a... if Donald Trump was God's will, then my question is, what did we do wrong? Well, original sin. I guess being flooded and having multiple pestilences, and certainly having Jews serve as slaves for... under Pharaoh, and then getting out, and any number of calamities on the earth isn't still enough to pay for the fact that Eve ate the apple and convinced Adam to finish it. And by the way, it was more than likely a pomegranate instead of an apple, but whatever. My prayer is the special prosecutor will mess with the plan. It's a good prayer. It's a nice one. I'm sure it rhymes. I've seen Trump memes where evangelical Trump supporters are claiming that Trump is looking more healthy since he became POTUS, all due to God's grace. Maybe they're just going to afford, better hair dye and orange makeup for him now that he's president, when he's got a real salary, which he was going to give to charity, but he isn't. Yeah. But this idea that somehow, that God directs political leaders that are supposed to be, by the way, democratically elected. If anything, it would seem that God's guidance would be through influencing people's hearts, which in the Bible he has the ability to do, but he kind of uses it in a slapdash manner, only on its special occasions. Which at that point, anybody whose heart he influenced didn't have free will in that time. And so if they did anything while their hearts were influenced, then they can't, then why would they go to hell for it or get into heaven for it? Because they technically didn't really have a choice. They were like automatons in that moment. That's a biblical scholar argument that's a lot of fun to have sometimes. But the truth is that there's a huge swath of these folks that believe that he's a anointed and appointed by God to be the president, and by the way, there was a lot of the similar stuff around George Bush, and Billy's right that it's never part of God's plan when Obama becomes president. It's never part of God's plan when Hillary wins the popular vote. That's the devil working. It's a selective usage or whatever. So Trump effectively becomes the anti-Antichrist, because Obama would be the Antichrist, so he'd be reacting against it. But then he's doing some of the things like moving that they thought for a long time would be something that only God's messenger / the Antichrist would do, like moving our embassy, those kind of things. It's tough. So yeah, and it's a running kind of issue that I have with that kind of with that thought form, and I'm curious. People can put in the message below, like, do you think that, and this is more for people who do have some sort of religious belief. Do you
5
think?
seconds how?
Okay, thank you. God plays a part in choosing of our leaders, or in